Okay, so my first question is, before I even start talking, when I say client journey, what are the things that come to your mind? Just write in the chat, please. Could be a sentence, could be words that you associate with it. Okay. Their struggles, how to get them into your sales funnel. Nice one. How you get them to buy. Yeah, when others believe in you. Ooh, finding you, getting interested, buying and leaving. Yes, never leaving, never ever leaving. No, they never leave. Magic. Ooh, I like that one. Yeah. So that was okay. That's okay, Jessica. It's okay. My baby wanted to say hello. Of course, we are saying hello. Like it. I like it. And I think there is a combination of all those things in a client journey that you'll see. This is a bit subjective, this presentation. It's how I understand the client journey, but I will also use an example of like how marketing people understand it. So you have an overview. Okay, so I called it client journey from a random follower to a happy paying student. Can you see my screen? Okay, perfect. Okay, so the aims of today are we're going to talk or answer those questions. How to start seeing students as clients. I think that's quite important because it is also a little bit about that. I think we've got it in common that it's very hard for us to switch our mindset from just a teacher, just, you know, quote unquote, to a CEO, to an entrepreneur, to someone who is a business-minded person. Where does the client journey begin? What are the steps in the journey and how to make this journey memorable? Okay, and there is an assumption that I'm making that the journey should be memorable. Some people might disagree, but I think it's important. So my first question is, how to start seeing students as clients. And again, I'm going to ask you, there are some ideas I have here, but before I tell you more about them, what would you say, how would you, obviously, most of you are teachers. I think there are some people in our group who have some marketing background, but how would you help yourself look at your students as clients? What would you have to do in order to have that mindset shift? Or maybe you don't actually have a problem with that. Let me know in the chat, okay? Ooh, nice one. I have to see myself as a real business, see them as individuals who get something out of what we, yoo-hoo, nice one. Okay, okay, love it. Okay, so I'm going to start talking and wait for some other comments and read them out. It's okay. So once I put admin systems in place, like student agreements, then I started seeing them more as clients, but it really is about seeing myself as the person in charge. Over the years, I have learned to not over emotionalize the teacher and student like, ooh, deep stuff, love it. Okay, cool. And I actually am very glad that you mentioned it, Della, that it's seeing yourself as a real business. And I think it's very much related to the words that we use. Remember a few days ago, I asked on my Instagram, what would you call yourself as when it comes to being an independent teacher? And there were, I have to still count, but it's literally, there was freelancer, business owner, and entrepreneur. But I think freelancer won, which is interesting. And my personal subjective theory is that this tells quite a lot, okay? Because I don't think freelancers truly see people as clients. I think freelancers still have a little bit of a teacher/employee mindset, which is not helping people solve their problems, but just find people who are interested in your lessons, which is a big difference, okay? And also, what I wanted to say is that when it comes to words that we use, I don't see many of us saying things like, I help my clients with something. We say, I help my students with something, which again, which is not a problem in itself. But I think if we started using the word client, it could shift some things for us. Okay. So if we are business owners, we do have clients, and they at the same are students, but we look at them from a perspective of a service provider. Okay. So it is a bit of a mindset game. And then it's also about the way we show up. So I think entrepreneurs or business owners, they show up in a way that they understand that what they do helps other people, helps solve their problems. It's a little bit of all those things. Oh, Claire is here. It's a bit of all those things that we have talked about in general, such as we don't necessarily sell our time for money. So like, for example, we always have that sort of chat or idea that we should be charging by the hour, right? And I think this can be very tricky in terms of, okay, so if I charge £30 or €30, $30 an hour, some people might not agree to do it because there are cheaper people, okay? But at the end of the day, we're not selling them that time. We're selling them a transformation. We're selling them a solution to their problem, which I think, again, manifests itself in the way we show up, okay? So if we're sure that what we do is going to help them achieve their goals, we are never going to show up as a person who sells their time for money, right? I don't really sell my time for money. And also, we all must have heard that whatever analogy, sorry, I'm really bad with those words. That's that sort of, you know, story about how somebody hired Picasso, I think, to draw them a picture, and they drew a picture on a napkin and charged them 100,000 something. And they say, you take 100,000 something, whatever, dollars, let's say, making it up, for just a little picture on a napkin. And he says, no, I charge $1 for this, but 99,000 for the years that it took me to learn how to do it, right? So that's another thing, and it manifests in showing up. Then again, this is what Stephanie said, boundaries that we set. Contracts are an extremely important part of a business, okay? It not only protects us, it's like the first layer, then it protects the student, the client, but also it makes them feel much more committed. Like when I was writing my own coaching contract, and when I said, oh, okay, so I'm going to give people 24 hours to like as a notice period if they want to cancel or reschedule their class. And I said, do you know what can I do with 24 hours? Nothing. So I set it as 72. And then at first I felt like, oh, people are going to be enraged because, you know, like, what if something comes up? And I'm like, but at the end of the day, this is not my problem, right? And like, well, I'm human and I understand problems, but I need to protect the professionalism of this relationship and the goal, the ultimate goal where it's all leading. So this is why we need to have something like that in place. Also, as somebody pointed out, it starts with what problems we solve, okay? So it's not about what we can teach them, what we can give them on a plate, okay? So what piece of something we can give them on a plate, which is, you know, it is part of our job, but at the end of the day, this is not really what they are paying for. They are paying for a change, for a journey from point A to point Z, if possible, okay, but at least somewhere further, okay, along the way. And finally, very, very subjectively, I think it's about how we celebrate their results. And it can be done in private as well as publicly. So I think we as teachers generally have, obviously everybody knows we should be sharing testimonials, right? We should be sharing testimonials. Testimonials are great to put on a website, but I don't think we do it enough. And also asking for testimonials is super awkward, right? But I think as business owners, that's just the 101 of being a business owner, right? So asking for testimonials, but also seeing what people say about our service or how they feel after a lesson. This is feedback, and this is also celebrating their results. It makes them feel better when they see that you acknowledge that they appreciate what you're doing for them or with them. But also, obviously, it shows other people. It gives the social proof of your service, but also it puts you in a position of an expert and someone who can actually claim that, hey, my services are great because people are saying they are great, right? There is nothing better than that. So I think if you have all these things in place, so the language that you use, the way you show up in terms of your like mindset of a boss, but also that kind of visibility. And I'm talking about even social media visibility, right? Because obviously it's not about dancing. You don't have to dance. I dance, I choose to dance, but it's not about that, okay? It's about whether you are convinced that your solution or what you offer actually helps somebody. And then, you know, it's like this circle. When you believe that you can help them, then they believe you, because you show up with a different energy, right? And the boundaries matter, we know. It's just this professionalism that is being set, and the problems that we solve. So again, if we believe in them, right, and if there is a genuine, if our service in a genuine way solves a certain problem, then that's the whole idea behind the business. And celebrating results, testimonials. I know Alina says asking for testimonials is really hard and feels weird. I know. But on the other hand, would they be your student if they would people be unhappy to share testimonials if they're happy to study with you? Probably not. I mean, some people might feel awkward, but it's okay, I think. Not everybody is happy. So, you know, but I think it's good to have that habit of asking, right? And to be perfectly honest with you, I used to have a big problem with testimonials and asking for like because, you know, there is a difference between making a comment on somebody's, like, you know, sending me a little message. But when I ask for big testimonials from my one-to-one clients, for example, it does take a lot, right? Because I don't know ultimately if they really had what they wanted there. But I had the best experience ever when I worked with a person who was quite camera shy. And then at the end of our 8 weeks, I asked her, so could you write me something? And she actually uploaded a video of her talking in the drive. And I was like, Jesus, this in itself is a testimony of this whole work, you know? So it's amazing. Yes. Great Christmas gift for business owners. Leave me a testimony. Absolutely. I love it. I have messaged a student I haven't taught for over a year today as well. Yay! Yes, do it. I did it too. I know it's a bit cringy, but you know, if they loved it back then you know, the argument is, oh, sorry, I'm starting to actually find my own students. So I need a little bit of testimonial, a little bit of social proof. And I was wondering if you could help me. There's nothing wrong and nothing weird about that. I think it's good to explain the idea of testimonial first and then ask for it. Absolutely. It will seem easier with those students we have grown the closest with. I've asked several students for testimonials just today. They were super happy. Absolutely. Exactly. Oh, yeah, precisely. Okay. So that hopefully would help you see students as clients. By students, sorry, I'm gonna just go back. I did say it before, like a few weeks back in another masterclass, but when I say students, I don't only mean English language students, okay? I also mean any sort of trainees, okay? When I train on CELTA as a CELTA tutor, I call those people my students as well, okay? So students is a big word for me here. And I'm not going to say students / trainees because it's just too complicated, okay? Where does the client journey begin? In my personal opinion, it begins with how you see you, okay? Any other ideas in the chat? Where does the client journey begins? Where does it start, in your opinion? With initial contact between, yeah. For example, DM, okay. When people reach out to you with, when he pays, interesting. Sorry for making the noise. Pain point that they have, that they're ready to, like this is going back when they see you for the first time. So I'm a bit more inclined to agree with Stephanie or Naomi here, okay? I think a client journey begins very early, okay? It does begin very early. It does, I think, what I've noticed, I think it can differ a little bit depending on the situation and on the product and service as well. It starts in that moment when there is a person who realizes that they have a problem and they see you. They might not see you as a solution yet, but the universe knows that you are the solution and this person has a problem, okay? So there is this point there somewhere. And why do I say that it starts with how you see you? Because again, this is all very much connected with the way we show up, okay? So if you genuinely believe that you can help people solve their problems, then you are going to be visible, okay? By being visible, I don't only mean dancing and showing your face everywhere and being plastered all over the internet, but it means some form of visibility, whether it is posting on social media, whether it is making lovely reels every day, whether it is going live, whether it is sending emails, whether it is letting people know that you've got something to say in a written, spoken, or video form. This is all visibility, okay? I dare say that if you don't believe that you are a solution to some people's problems, then you're not going to show up, okay? In any sort of form, or only limit yourself, censor yourself, okay? And what's interesting about this is that I've noticed that I don't think there is anyone who at the very beginning of their journey knows exactly what kind of problems people have and why and what solution they are themselves. But you know, without that showing up, you will never establish what this is, right? I think it's good to start with some sort of an idea at the beginning, but then take it further, basically, okay? And start seeing that solution in you and start seeing what kind of people come here. And then you meet those two things halfway. It's about that. The business, so Deepika is here. My idea is that, sorry, did I lose my train of thoughts? Yes, I've got it. It's back. I've heard it, and I think I've said it a few times as well, that business, or maybe not, let me know. Business is not really for us. It's for the customers. It's for the clients, right? There are benefits of it for us, but businesses should be driven by clients, right? What the clients want. And like, you can imagine that when I opened ELTpreneurs, I had a certain idea. but then it evolved in a certain direction. And it's a different direction to either what I expected, or it's a direction that I didn't even know would happen because I had no expectations. And we should be open to this, right? And we should always listen. But it always starts with how you see yourself as that solution. Elements of a client journey. So many times, problems and solutions. Problems, okay? The sooner you identify what the problems are, the quicker you can come up with a good solution, okay? So very often, unfortunately, we get stuck, and I talk about it all the time in my podcast. I feel like I've said it 1,000 times, that sometimes we get stuck in the idea that something sounds good to us as an idea, but do we have any proof that it's going to work with our audience or with anybody? Okay. And we, unfortunately or fortunately, as business owners, entrepreneurs, we have to shift that mindset. Okay. So I would probably say that if you can't get rid of your, I would say, ego and thinking that your ideas are brilliant, which obviously we think, and I think it's good because it makes us show up as confident. But the sooner we realize that it's all about, showing up in front of a group of people and asking them what they need, the better. Okay. So at the beginning, you might actually meet them halfway in terms of, okay, this is what I can offer because this is my set of skills. This is what I think is a good idea. So you go out and offer this, and then people react to it somehow. And then you adapt, then you adjust. And that's how it's supposed to work. Making it about them, not you. So I think that especially at the beginning of a solopreneurship or a duopreneurship, because we've got a duopreneurship here situation, it's actually good that you put yourself in the center of the business, and you actually, like, in simple terms, it could mean that, you give examples from your own life of how you've overcome some struggles, or how you've learned a language, or how you helped a student, okay, who struggled with something specific. But you are in the center there. But when you're evolving as an entrepreneur, that whole weight goes onto them, goes onto those people, what they need and how you can help them. Then when it comes to elements of a client journey, I don't think we can underestimate emotions, okay? From my own experience, there are so many people who just say, it just felt right to sign up, okay? And I know it starts with a problem. It starts with this desire, urge, something. But then when they finally, take that leap of faith, or just, take that action, they say, because it felt right. So it felt something. And this is going to be especially prevalent when we're talking about women, right? We make emotional decisions, and it's not bad. It doesn't mean that we're irrational. No, don't get me wrong. I make very, very practical choices. Still, they are emotion-led. So, like, for example, to give you an example, in June, when I was looking for business coaching, I was like doing tons of research for weeks. And then suddenly I came across this woman. She's wearing yellow. She's energetic. She's confident. Honestly, it feels right. I'm doing it. That's how people make decisions. Okay. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say here, people will make a decision about signing up with you based on the fact that they need what you offer, and they will see that what you do is cool and it's valuable. But predominantly, I would say about 60 or 70% is going to be about how you make them feel. Okay. And then it's about recognition. So I think the human aspect of, yes, you need to learn vocabulary. Yes, you need to learn grammar. Yes, you need to learn good habits in a language. Yes, you need to learn how to do certain things in order to be a fluent speaker, for example, or in order to pass your exam, or in order to whatever, right? However, recognizing that there are people behind it also helps with establishing that emotional connection with your offer, basically, with your service or with your solution, right? And this is a cool concept that I don't know if you've ever heard, but it's about creating gaps. So I'm trying to learn a little bit about it, but it's, you are allowed to know all my secrets because you're an entrepreneur. But basically, the simplest way to describe it is that today on my stories, I told everybody that we're having a masterclass on a client journey, okay? Then people think, whoa, this is cool, but I don't tell them anything else. Then some people might DM me and say, and ask me a question about it because they are genuinely interested. And I would tell them something, but I will never tell them what I tell you. And it's just something, it's just creating that sort of like enigmatic sort of feeling. So it's, you know, it might be not that easily translated to teaching a language, but that's why I think, yes, FOMO, yes, fear of missing out, absolutely. That's why I think those live testimonials are such a good way of making it work, because you would say, okay, here is my student. You don't even have to show their face or whatever, but let me tell you about my student. Let me tell you about my trainee. So I helped them get from here to here, but you will never tell the audience how you did that. You would tell them, okay, you would give them some general terms, okay? My coach is really good at it. She says things like, so we had a social media strategy, we had a something, and then from somewhere she got there. And I'm like, everybody's thinking, like, but what did she do? And there is genuinely a gap, okay? That obviously only people who sign up with her will know, okay? Yeah, you just don't want to give away all your secrets, but it's a bit of a more complicated thing, because sometimes we're like, oh, can we share too much value? Because everybody always talks about sharing value, right? Nothing wrong with sharing value, because you know what? I don't believe that we can ever share too much value, because at the end of the day, the fact that you share it doesn't mean that this person will apply it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I could probably on Instagram tell everybody what I do with my one-to-one clients. Does it mean it's selling my knowledge for free and it's like, you know, doesn't mean anything? I don't think it means anything really, because people do not act. People don't feel the accountability. It's free, right? But yeah, that's that, okay? Then this is a very simple model that I was like sort of exposed to, of a client customer journey that starts with starts with an awareness, then interest, then purchase, retention, advocacy, and finish. Is there any term that doesn't mean anything to you at the moment? Would you like me to? Advocacy, yeah. Does anybody have any ideas of what it could mean?
Is it about recommendations?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, exactly. It's like, if a person is happy, they're so likely to recommend you, okay? If I would say even more, if you build enough trust, then people who know you from different contexts will recommend you, because they will know that you offer great value. Exactly, they become our ambassadors. I think I've mentioned it, but I've been sharing this book with everybody recently. It's called Super Pants by Pat Flynn. It's absolutely amazing, and it's basically based on an idea that Everybody can create a community of people who are as crazy about them as teenagers were crazy about Backstreet Boys in the 90s. And I absolutely love that analogy. And I think it makes so much sense, honestly. So I read it and it totally makes sense, because those super fans, those clients who usually are the ones who stay for the longest, are going to be your best ambassadors, okay? Which also means, so obviously we understand awareness, they see you for the first time. So it could be, I'll write it here in a moment. It starts with an awareness. So a person sees your reel, okay? A person sees your post, a person sees your lead magnet, your whatever, right? Then they get interested. I'll talk to you about it in a moment. Then they buy something, sign up for something with you. Then retention depends. Obviously, it depends on the offer, but we want to have sort of the highest retention rates, because as we talked before, it's much, oh, thank you, Deepika. It's much easier for us to keep a client rather than to find a new one, right? It costs way less energy and way less everything. And advocacy, exactly that. The compound effect of happy clients is absolutely the best thing that can happen to your business. Yeah. Which I'm experiencing, and I love it. Ha. And finish. They never finish. To me, it's like a circle. It's a massive circle, because some people just stay forever. There will be people who always buy whatever you offer, and it's normal. But there will be people who buy once and then they go. It's okay. So that's the classic model. A model that I prefer, and I kind of apply it, is my client journey sort of on social media. It's simply because I am most active on Instagram. So that's why I think it's quite useful here. It starts with visibility, as I said before. So it could be anything, but basically it is being active in whatever form that is for you. It doesn't have to mean showing your face somewhere, but obviously it helps, right? Video still has the highest conversion rates. Reels, posts, emails, maybe emails a little bit later, podcasts, YouTube channels, things like that, okay, is all visibility. Then what happens, and this is my favorite stage, don't know if everybody saw, but Rhiannon, hello Rhiannon, if you're watching it on replay, she recently posted a post about a guy being rude in comments, as I hope she doesn't mind that I share it, but it was public in our group, who disagreed with her saying that people shouldn't really be that obsessed with grammar, right? Whatever our opinions are, what I think happened there is absolutely brilliant, okay? This was like such a fantastic example of fact-finding, self-identifying and polarizing, which is the best thing that you can do and that your content should be doing, basically. So whatever you say there, how you say it, and the more yourself you are in it, the more, the stronger this process is, okay? And the sooner we go through this process, the better, because we want people to go from the second stage to the third stage as soon as possible. We don't want people to hang around here, because basically it doesn't lead anywhere. So what it means in practice is somebody sees my reel in which I say it's beginning to look a lot like, oh, sorry, fuck this. They don't like me swearing, okay? So they think, oh, it's a bit funny, but it was rude. So I'm going to stay for a moment because it created an emotion, okay? Then I'm going to start watching her stories. She's a bit like, it's not valuable for me. It's a bit too much. I don't like it. I leave. I love this person. Thank you so much. You left. I don't have to deal with you. I don't have to ask you any questions. You've just self-identified as my non-follower. We want this, okay? Another example, somebody sees my post. It resonates with them highly because I speak about Are you worried that there are only teachers who watch you on Instagram? Somebody resonates with it. They think it's valuable that I raise this topic. They think, oh, I'm going to stay for a while. They start watching everything back. They comment on all of my posts. They sign up for my newsletter. They sign up for all my freebies. They stay, okay? This is when I can start serving this person, okay? This person has self-identified themselves as a person who can stand my energy, who actually finds my content valuable, and who is ready to be served by me. You don't want to serve people who are still in this phase, and it's not your job, okay? You don't want to speak to people who only just stumbled upon you, okay? Because that's not the point. You can only serve people who already know that they want to stay, and it's absolutely, it's the way it's supposed to be. So another example here could be that, okay, so this person stayed, she's in my audience, so she starts interacting somehow. I see how she interacts, or he, whatever. Then I might start asking some questions, okay? So that's why I ask so many questions on my Instagram stories. I constantly find out about what people need and want and what they identify themselves with. So basically, for example, even the fact that I share that I'm a mom helps me serve a part of my audience. Because if I know that there is, say, 60% of women in my audience are moms, then I know those things will resonate. When I talk about being an entrepreneur and a teacher who struggles because there is a small child running around, then I know moms will resonate with it, right? Obviously, it's not all of my audience, but I think it's important enough to acknowledge. And the same with you, you can do it. You can do it. So what other examples we could use? There is a person who sees your post about native versus non-native speaker bias, right? And they feel moved because nobody's ever told them that, you know, in fact, you can be taught by anyone who is qualified and just a good teacher. So they might comment and they might, like, you know, they might even express like some sort of a weird emotion, but they are moved. So it depends where it takes them. If they say, no, I completely disagree and leave, that's fine, whatever, you don't have to worry. But if they say, okay, thank you so much for broadening my horizons here, they will stay. And then you'll have to find out what else you can do to help them, okay? Because obviously this person will be a unique person that you can help in some certain way. And it's not about people pleasing. It's not about like, you know, addressing everybody, but it's about finding those little, like, you know, okay, so there are lots of moms there. There are lots of foreigners coming to London, say, or there are lots of a certain nationality of people in that audience, okay? How can you serve them, okay? Or there are lots of people who find like watching TV series and they want to use it as you know, a tool to learn the language. How could you actually help them, right? And it would resonate with them. And then after that serving period usually comes selling. So selling is only easy when people go through, more or less go through that whole process. Yes, it is possible to speed it up. And yes, there are people who are weird and come up from out of nowhere and say, I want to join your membership. What? Where have you been? Like, there were people here who said that. And I'm like, honestly, you haven't interacted with me at all. But it's okay. It's fine. It will happen. Better that than, you know, the other thing. But usually people see you, which means you have to be visible. Then the more you polarize them, the more they create opinions. Then you serve them, and then you sell. And then hopefully they stay because you make them so happy, okay? And you make them happy in other ways that I'm going to talk to you about now. let me know if there are any questions. Oh, Stephanie said, I've been censoring myself in this regard, limiting beliefs. Oh, I know. This is great because it'll help me weed out folks that I don't want or cannot say. Exactly. You don't want to help everybody. This is just a different way of looking at it. It's like three phases of a client journey. And look, there is always nurturing people. So again, this is like a different idea, basically. What you do at the beginning is you engage, they engage or learn. So you teach them something, which could be through a simple post or a simple reel, for example, or a simple video, right? Then, so once they've been through that first phase of visibility, they would go to the second phase in which you still nurture, but you also give them teasers of what it's like to work with you. You will temperature test. So you will say things like, oh, if I offered something like this, would you be interested? Okay. And you drop some seeds or breadcrumbs. So you say, oh, I'm working on something exciting. And usually we like the breadcrumbs should be of the paid offers. Obviously you can breadcrumb about free offers, but it just has a little bit more impact if it's paid offers. And finally, when they are in the market, so ready, like in that sort of stage, it doesn't mean that people who are in this stage will say yes, because I've identified in my audience that there were people who were sort of in that stage, but when I asked them, are you ready to buy? They were not, and it's okay, it's fine. So you would still nurture, you would execute or launch something, okay? Whether it is your one-to-one offer, whether it is some sort of a course, a group class, a digital course, a group program, a membership, and you sell, okay? I think I will run a class on like selling because it will help a lot. Lots of people launching in January, by the way. So I think it might be useful. Okay. And finally, not finally, but at some point, and I think somebody's just mentioned that it would be useful to talk about this. So this is at the stage when a person is genuinely interested in working with you. So they start, so this is actually, somewhere halfway the journey, okay? So it's after being attracted to you, then being interested, then fact-finding, and they are actually already interested in purchasing. So it's just before purchasing and the purchase and the onboarding process. So what I would think about in this stage is logistics of how they sign up, okay? So what I would think about is, okay, do you have a link for people to either look at your offer, sign up for a call with you, okay? Ideally, you would have it on your social media, okay? What's your process, basically, okay? What's your process for this? Just to give you an idea, my first original process was, I did a little bit of cold messaging, which I'm not very proud of because it was icky, but I did fill up groups, so, you know, whatever. I would send people a link with, I would describe what I do and how I can help them. I would send them a link to my Calendly so they could sign up to a free consultation, language consultation, something like that. Then they would book that call. Then I would send them, if it was, you know, you can automate it if you have a paid version of Calendly or something like that. If it's manual, you would have to send them some sort of a Zoom link. It did work, Deepika. It did. I filled up 3 groups of business students like last September. I know. So, you know, icky, not icky. It worked. Yeah, LinkedIn is a funny place, you know. LinkedIn is a very funny place. So what's that process for you, right? Then research. When a client joins, I usually send them either a questionnaire, or we talk about very, very deeply about what they want in this consultation. Okay, so that's my research. I need to know where they want to be. Contract and boundaries. What kind of contract do you have? Do you want them to send it back to you? Do you have a digital copy? Do you use Google Drive? Like, what do you do, basically? Payments. How do you do that? Do you send them a link on PayPal? Do you ask them to make a transfer? Do you take cash? whatever, right? And finally, ongoing feedback and testimonials. So with my one-to-one clients, I usually ask for feedback like halfway through. And obviously at the end, cringe, ask for a testimonial. But usually they're very happy to share. But I also ask them, like literally in every session, what do you actually want? What is it, you know, meeting all your expectations? Because I'd rather remedy when there's time, when there's still time, than not. So it's a bit funny with English language students, because I don't know if your experience were ever like that, but in my career as a teacher, I had students offended by being asked what they want in lessons, because they always thought, you're a teacher, so you should know. Such a funny thing, especially, I don't know why, but from, I think all the students who ever said that were from Russia. I don't know if it's like a rule there. I'm not being in any way, you know, racist or anything, but it's just, it was a thing. So I would just be very careful. It's like, always justify it. Why are you asking? Why are you saying that? Why are you asking them for that feedback? Tell them that it's for their own good. It's not because you don't know what you're doing. And some people just need training in understanding that that's how learning works. It's not that you give them bloody pieces of grammar. It's just, you know, a mutual process, basically. So I would think about those things. If you have any questions about this or my own old processes, just let me know. Happy to share. But that was basically it. Finally, how to make the whole client journey memorable. Okay. My rule number one is giving more than they were expecting. So you are super clear on what the solution that you're offering is. You're confident selling it. But then when it comes to delivery, you give them more. Okay, this is the magical element. This is the magical element, and how you make sure retention actually is out of the roof. It's people stay because of how you make them feel. And literally, when you hear from a person, like, you don't want to make them addicted to you, because people get addicted from services. Like, you know, coaching, it is addictive. I literally, when I signed up with my coach, I signed up for 3 months and then I stayed for another year. It is a bit addictive, but it's about that, you know, it's actually, you need to give them that feeling that you can give them so much or more. You can always surprise them a little bit even. So whether it could be as simple as sending them an extra worksheet, sending them something that, oh, I know you struggled with this. So it's like, how do you show them that you actually listen to them, basically? Yeah. Celebrating. So I love celebrating people. I sometimes have a fear that maybe I do it too much, that it's oversharing, but like, honestly, I do it from such a good place. I do it from a place of, I genuinely am proud of this person. If it helps you feel celebrated, and if it helps me, then it's a win-win-win, because the third party here is the person watching it and getting the FOMO, which is what we want. Feedback, asking for feedback, but also giving them feedback. We know we teachers have problems with error correction, right? I always, you know, and students want it, okay? So give them what they want. Like, obviously give them lots of what they need, because they usually don't know what they need, but give them what they want as well, okay? So be that person who is conscious enough to give them the balance of a fantastic service, but also a little bit of like, oh, I feel looked after here. I'm being listened to, right? And helping clients recognize how much they have achieved in a measurable way. This could, and a very good question, Erin. I'm struggling with measuring client success. I would say things like, okay, so Erin is doing a course for like helping teachers make their students more confident, something like that, help them with confidence in the classroom. I would ask, okay, so have you noticed any difference in your students, I would ask your teachers, the teachers that you're delivering that course to, have you noticed any difference in teachers? Okay, yeah, they have been more talkative. They've been like, you know, more open. That's a measurable thing. Okay, actually, you could even come up with a tool that at the beginning, you could give it as a PDF to those teachers who come to your course and say, okay, so try and measure in every lesson, ask those teachers to measure in every lesson, how many times did people speak up? How many times did they like speak fluently without like hesitation or something like that? Anything like that that is related to the goal of your course. Yeah, measuring their confidence on a scale of 1 to 10 helps make something. Absolutely, yes. So I, for example, like I did that with one client at the end, and she couldn't believe it. She was like, I'm like, you're from like 20 followers to 220, which, you know, might sound not like a lot, but, you know, it's just 2 months. Then you're showing your face on video every day. Yes, that's true. You're talking about offers. You're actually selling on Instagram. And she's like, it's all, it is easier than we think, actually. And then checking in with people. I like checking in. I'm very nosy. I check in with people all the time. Like, sorry if I do it too much, but like, I'm interested. And creating those gaps. So when your clients see, when your students see that you create gaps, thanks to what you do with them, they also feel special because they feel, oh, I have access to that. I have access to that special thing that she's offering, but those losers don't. Okay. So it's amazing for the client. Okay. And it just makes it memorable. All right. You could have a set of learning outcomes. Yes. Or things like, what do we, in the British Council, they have something that is called can-do statements. Like with students, we could use it with students. So I can do this. I can do that. I can go to the shop and ask for something. I can go to the restaurant and order something. Okay. Why not? You could do it in every lesson, have 3 like these and like, okay. Obviously, it depends on the level. It would be very much of a flexible thing, but I would say that that's a fantastic way of helping people see how much progress they've made, because that's the difference. If you sell lessons in like, yes, reflection, perfect, yeah, yes, CFR based can-do statements, yes, 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 absolutely. And also it just helps them see that it's so much more than just 5 hours of like English that they've paid for. It's a certain transformation. That's why I don't think, you know, selling 5 hours would be ever enough. You know, it's such a long process. That's why I think the goals should be set, and the setting the goals obviously helps the student be committed and be like more focused on what they want to achieve rather than, oh, I just want to improve my English. Yes, that's bloody obvious. But we want to know where they're going also from the perspective of you as a successful business owner. Because when you can prove this person went from here to here, this is how you showcase what you can do. Okay, that's it. I think that was the last slide. Hee. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know if you have any questions about this. Or thoughts or reflections.
I have a thought. I think for me, I think I'm a little bit scared to actually start getting clients.
I'm not surprised.
That's what is held me back. Like I'm having fun, you know, talking to other teachers, but I'm like, oh God, once I get, and I've had a client before, and it was just basically me just like, just don't say no. And that's kind of how I got myself in the situation. But looking for that right person. And I think what I have to think about is making sure that what I want, like my goals are actually what my client wants or what the learner wants, and not just because I think this is fun, you know? I think it's where I have to kind of do some thinking.
I like that. I'm not surprised when you say I'm afraid of like having clients. This is a massive thing, actually. And getting a first paying like a real person who is interested. Geez, this is what makes it real. Super real. If I sell an 8-week program, how can I help them see that they won't reach their exact, often unrealistic goal in the 8 weeks? What do you think? How would you help them?
I don't know. I think this hasn't happened to me yet because I haven't had a student for 8 weeks yet. But I feel like if I tell them that I'm going to help them with this, and then at the end of the 8 weeks, they're like, this is a fear I have, essentially. At the end of the 8 weeks, they say, I didn't get this. Now what? And are you doing this because you want me to buy more classes from you? And that's not an emotion that I want them to feel, if that makes sense. So I guess I didn't answer your question, but I don't know is the answer to your question. I don't know what I would do.
Okay. Stephanie, did you want to share something?
Oh, I'm running into a similar issue, so I feel you. So I have a 90-day program currently, and I did some level setting and expectation setting with people in the program, like when we started, like, okay, are you going to be 100% confident at the end of 90 days? Yeah, probably not. But what I'm now running into is maybe part of the retention part of the journey of, did I overpromise in this 90 days, and then they'll feel alienated or feel like, I'm just trying to get them to stay to do another 90 or, whatever that looks like. And so I'm running into something similar, and I've been trying to figure out, I know what to change for the future, but for the people who are in it now, I'm feeling slightly conflicted. So
another thing, just as you were saying this, Stephanie, I realized that I'm also packaging my offer as a 8-week course or a program, like your 90-day program.
Yeah.
Versus if I called it an 8-week package or a package of 8 classes, that would be different from a program, which is, it sounds more complete. It sounds like an 8-week course will give me exactly what the course says, like it's all like pre-made, versus 8 weeks of classes means that it's a journey that doesn't have an endpoint at the end of 8 weeks. So it just popped in my head as you were speaking, because you also said program, and I've also been thinking about it as a program, but it's not. It's
yeah, I know. I think in this case, it's really important to exactly do that. It distinguish what we mean by a program, what we mean by 8 weeks of study. I think what makes it easier from I would say a marketing point of view, is that those 8 weeks actually do take them somewhere. Okay, so it is part of your job to help them set a realistic goal for the 8 weeks. Okay, and I'm not saying you have to set a certain, like it has to be a course with a certain structure, but you need to make sure that there is tools within that time together that will help them get. Also, the thing about goals is that we don't set them to achieve them. We set them to set a direction. Okay, so we can land anywhere a bit short of the goal or overachieve or whatever, and that's actually okay. But I think it makes it easier if you understand what those 8 weeks give them, because if we just sell those packages, then I think we take a step back to I just help you improve your English. So it's just all or nothing, like not all or nothing, but a bit of everything, which we don't know what it is, right? It's just that the solution-based approach just makes it more tangible, basically. So it has so many benefits, but I know it's hard to change that mentality. Also, by the way, I happen to have an 8-week program, and the 8 weeks were quite random at the beginning, you know, and it is actually changing next year. But in the 8 weeks, it's like, I obviously had that fear that people wouldn't achieve what I thought they should achieve. Because when I say, oh, help you build a business from scratch, but do you know what? It really means so many different things to people. It means so many different things. And if we set realistic goals for those 8 weeks, there are people who achieved, honestly, they're on top of the world now after the 8 weeks. There are people who, even if there were 80 weeks, they wouldn't have. Do you know what I mean? So with one-to-ones, especially, and it being a bespoke thing, you can be flexible about that as long as you know what it gives them. I just picked 90 days out of, exactly. Sounds perfect. Sounds perfect. Love it. 90 days. Why not? 90 days to change your life. Kasia asks how to outwin Preply, and don't. That's my answer. Don't. Just don't. You're not there. You're building something separate. You're not comparing yourself to it. You're a separate entity. You're your own self. You can be there as well as being your own entity on social media or somewhere else, but you wouldn't, because that's a rabbit hole of comparison, being the cheapest, being the, I'm not saying it's bad, not slamming it at all, because there are lots of people who do it as a side thing, not at all a bad thing, but yeah, we can't, because, you know, they invest millions in marketing. They break the market, basically. And they are the opposite of what we're trying to do, which is niche down, help very extremely specific people, help with people that we like, not just some random creeps. You know, so that's the difference. Yeah. Anything else? Any other questions, guys, about this? I posted on Preply's Insta the other day and they deleted my comment because I was obviously an English teacher. Nasty. Nasty. Not great. Nah. Italki's trying to get content for free. So stupid. No.
Yeah, sorry. So I still teach on italki for a little bit, but right now they're sending like a bunch of emails to teachers on the platform to basically make podcasts for them and to post content for them, and that you just put like hashtag italki and they're like, we're gonna feature you on our thing. Save that. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse. Save that shit for yourself and your own business. Do not give it to italki. Like, they absolutely will not pay for that, and they will suck you dry. So sorry if I'm on a hill that I'll die on, but yeah, don't give it to them.
No. And again, it's not about, you know, judging whoever is doing what, because, you know, even Stephanie, she teaches there, but it's like, it's a means to something, right? At the end of the day, we know that that's not the future, when she's not going to spend her eternity on italki. Yeah.
I mean, I'm on Preply too, so I can't really talk, but they're pretty terrible.
Yeah, exactly. But it's fine. Okay. Very cool chat. Love it. Brilliant. If you have any other questions, just let me know. I'm just going to stop recording now.